Hurry up, hurry up. Test, test, audio looks good. Okay, here we go. Made it. Just. Slept in this morning, you guys. Just made it. I was with an inch. I'm just saying, just Mo, tell them I can't do this today, whatever. But Yammoto-san's also waiting for the paper, so it's... Got some sleep, did I? I don't know. I don't know if I did or not. Anyway, let's do something here. What I've got, I'm late with this morning, so I've just at this moment, about 5 minutes ago, I took the size out of the fridge downstairs and I plopped it in the hot water here. So it's going to take a few minutes to get the size ready. Not so much a late night, it's just another, the days are kind of long these days. No, it's not ready yet. It's going to be 5-10 minutes before that stuff's ready. That's okay, I got to cut the paper. Where are we at this morning here? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. We're at 35, I guess. Is that what it is? Yeah, no, 34. Close enough. 34. Should be too bad. We're just going to cut this in half. No big deal. This is for the Great Wave, of course. Another batch of paper for the wave. So 60 and then 30 and halfway mark, I think we're okay. guess I can use a short one. It's okay. So good, so good, so good. So quiet this morning, same as me. I'm just dazed. It's been so many long days in a row. I'm really, really dazed. I almost didn't do the stream this morning. But this paper's got to be done. It's got to go to Yamu to come today. It's next batch of the Great Wave paper, another 60 sheets. He's ready for another batch. And the downstairs is going to be crazy. They're booked solid with parties, and I think it's 5-4-6-5 or something. It's going to be an insane day. We've got 3 staff coming today to do it. What's questions here? What iPad program do you use when you trace? I'm using Pixelmator. It's a sort of a Photoshop clone type thing. But it's not really. It doesn't have a bucket and stuff like that, a paint bucket. But it does the important part. It does layers, which is what I need, and it will do semi-opacity, which is what I need, and it follows the pencil really well. So. Okay, this is the size that's actually left over, the dose that's left over from when I did this a few days ago, and it's been sleeping in the fridge since then. And it's still a bit jelly in the middle, I see. So yeah, there's still some jelly in the middle, so it's going to take a while then for this to get warmed up. It's liquid around the outside of the jelly core here. That's a little jumping shot there. Look, we need to give that 3 or 4 minutes. It's not hot enough yet. Do we get feedback from the people and families that come for the print party? Yeah, most people have fun. What can I say? I don't know, 99 people out of 100 more. They have a lot of fun. They have a ton of fun. They laugh their way through it. We laugh our way through it. Our goal with the parties is we have fun ourselves doing it. And as long as we do that, we keep it enjoyable for ourselves, then that's contagious and everybody else has a good time too. Almost everybody. We've got one tomorrow, the first party tomorrow morning. It's a group of 5. They were here last week. The same people, 4 kids and an adult, four young teens, whatever, I don't know, teens and an adult. They booked again, and we said, like, you just did this, and said, well, we want to do it again. Over there, we've got different blocks. We'll put different blocks on that table, and they can do it again. So I guess they're having fun if they come back a week later. They want to do the microwave, which I still haven't got ready. It's just on my list of things to do. It's almost ready, the block set, blah, blah. It's triage every day, I'm sorry. It's just triage every day, trying to figure out what to do and how to spend the time. And the problem with something like the microwave is that jobs like this are non-negotiable. The printer is waiting at home. If he doesn't get the paper, he doesn't print. We don't sell prints. Everything it cascades. So some jobs I can't postpone. So the order of what jobs to do is just every day it all changes. And something like fixing that last set of blocks for the microwave to get it going, because it's not a mission critical job, I think, compared to the paper, it doesn't get done. I was up late last night doing YouTube stuff, so we're getting closer now to the next YouTube. So I didn't get anything in the can. I was rehearsing something. I really haven't done too much for YouTube stuff in the past, but I spent yesterday evening in the shop because there wasn't so many people there, and then after the shop closed I stayed up way later than I should have been doing, rehearsing. Good evening, this is Woodblock Printmaker David. Oh, speaking to you. It's for August 17th. Doesn't need attention from me right now. So, one take bull. No. Well, yes, no. The videos are morphing a little bit. We're in a new place downstairs. The whole ambience is different. Something I've been doing for 3, 4, 5 years now, sitting on that same stool with the same thing. I'm used to it. It's all been blown apart. Everything is different. The distance to the camera, where I sit, where I put things, the whole feeling and mood, it's all just back from the beginning. And we've set a fairly high standard on the videos, and I don't want to crap out, and yet I'm having a real tough time with the next one. So yeah, I'm doing some rehearsals. So you can think of it as one take or not, I don't know. All right, sorry for rambling. I said we're just waiting for the size to heat up here. It was in the fridge until just a few minutes ago. Where's my thermometer? Nice. There's the thermometer package. Unfortunately, no thermometer in it. Don't set the video bar too high. It's already done. I'm intimidated. I'm already intimidated. That's why we're rehearsing last night. It's still too cool. We're at 48. I got to get this at least over 50, 55, maybe 60 would be better. So I'm sorry, a couple more minutes here until this gets warmed up. Couple more minutes here. Excuse me again for the late start this morning. Sizing again, yeah, I'm sorry, so much sizing. Every sheet of paper that leaves us, every single print that leaves this workshop has to be sized, has to come over this desk. Ask 5 printers what it does, get 7 answers. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. I have a reasonable take on it because I'm both a printer and doing the sizing, so I have a pretty good feel for the flow right from the beginning. I haven't made washi paper myself, of course, but I've done enough sizing now and enough printing now that I have a pretty good feel for what this is all about. Come on, let's go. Another minute or so before we get to the temperature. Any new auction purchases? No, I got blown away. Last night I bid on 3 things, and the night before that I bid on 3 or 4. I got blown away totally. Prices are just climbing beyond belief on auctions here in Japan. It's going to be reflected down the line. The price for used prints is just climbing because there's so much demand now, and so many people here doing the same thing, buying in Japan and trying to sell overseas. So demand is skyrocketing. Prices are going. We should have just bought so much more stuff a few years ago. It can't be helped. Can't be helped. Yeah, of course, we're part of the main reason that the demand is going up, of course. The market is responding. We've been bidding in there. We've been bidding fairly aggressively. So, of course, prices go up. I know I'm responsible. I'm partly responsible for it. It's not just me. But it's also not me. It's the people at the other end, the people buying prints. Of course, because there's so many people buying these days, that's pushed up demand. Okay, we're into the mid-50s. We're good to go. Let's do this thing. Into the mid-50s. Wish I was in the mid-50s. Let's not go there. All right, are we ready? What I've got is 30 sheets of Nishikiban paper cut in half to make 60 pieces. We would like to be doing the sizing without cutting them in half. We don't have a brush big enough, so it's got to be chopped in half to do this. Let's get going. You can sell your great wave for 10 times the price in a year or so. I don't know. No idea. No idea. We don't talk about that kind of stuff. Okay, let's go. Size is ready, warmed up. Paper is ready. It's a very hot day, which makes the sizing job really quite easy. The liquid flows out into the paper very smoothly and easily. My only job here is to make sure I don't fall asleep during this. Okay, let's wake up and do this. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Pretty good. A little bit heavy on the touchdown zone. The rest of it looks smooth. Oh, look at this smooth first sheet. I'm being adjudicated here, am I? You want to hold up the cards? 10, 9, 9.5, 10. Give me a break. Let's see you try this. question about the lighting on the prints. If you make a frame with the light inside it that angles down on the print, you have a real problem, because the top part of the print is really close to the light, will be quite bright, but then it falls off really quickly. And what's the scientific, not the algorithm, what's the word I'm looking for? The formula. The brightness of the light, the strength, intensity of the light falls off with the square of the distance. So halfway through the print, you've lost, or whatever, half the light, and by the time you get to the bottom of the print, you've lost like 160% of the light. So you can't get an even light across the print if the light's too close. If the light's quite far away and shining down on the print, the difference between the top and the bottom is going to be marginal. So putting the light inside the frame is, my guess, is probably not going to give you a good result. Inverse square or whatever. Hi. You guys handle the details. Extra style points. The finger at the end of the stroke, I'm pushing. I need help. I've learned that if I just hit and slow down, bit by bit, you slow down too far and it'll jerk a little bit. So I'm just putting an extra bit of feel. I'm really locking my hands together because it's my body that's moving here. So that's a little tiny bit of insurance against this brush stopping. Looking good. Doing this. It's coming okay today. What we don't want is salty water dripping on this thing. I'm also so slow at this, my God, a professional sizer in the old days, it's bap, ding, shum, seconds for each one. I'm just so slow, unbearably slow compared to an old craftsman. It's a different work ethic, these days. And I'm the boss, I'm working for myself, there's no... Excuse me. Oh, hydration sponsor. Here we are. What is it? They can't see it. It's too small, is it? How's your Japanese? Got it? Can you read it? I'll give you a minute to work on it. It's a custom drink. You can see the company it's from. 7. And what is this? Sukkiri shiagete fruits ore. What's fruits ore? It's kind of whitish. Maybe they've mixed some milk in there. I don't know. Oh yeah, it has milk products included. Whatever that means. You've heard of cafe ore. This is fruits ore. No, it's not like a milkshake. It's liquid. It's like juice. Light juice. So it says grapes, apple, some kind of mikan, a kind I don't recognize, some kind of orange mikan, bit of pineapple, and then milk products, whatever that means. Yeah, the convenience stores here, they're okay, of course, they're pretty good, but there's a problem recently with 7-Eleven. They're big, they're the biggest one, I guess, they're giant. And there's all kinds of problems with the company and the franchises. And one of the local franchises, I know the guy, we chat. And they used to, that Orangina stuff that I've been drinking, just kind of nice. Recently, they haven't had it in the 7-Eleven. They've got their own brand drinks and racks full of their own brand tea, their own brand water, and they're kicking out the other stuff, the other company's drinks. And I don't really do whatever. I'll drink it today for once, but I don't want to drink the same thing every day. And the franchise guy said that what's done 7-Eleven has made so many of their own brand products, they're trying to fill the store with their own brand stuff and kick out everything else. And if that's the way they're going, I think that's a huge mistake, because I'll just spend more of my time at the local Lawson because they have different drinks and stuff that I prefer. Not really sure what's happening there, but do we have a Family Mart? No, and I'm really sad about that one. For us, the closest one is Lawson, then the next closest is Lawson, the next closest is 7, the next closest is 7. To get to a Family Mart, it's about a 4 or 5 minute walk, and in this weather, that's no fun. And I prefer the Family Mart dinners, the meals. They're actually the ones that have been originating most of this stuff. They originated a new certain type of dinner presentation, and a few months later, 7-Eleven has got it. Bang. 7-Eleven is the biggest copyist here. Because they're the biggest and they dominate, they tend to get the, people think that, wow, they've originated this stuff, and they don't. They copy like crazy. Oops, drip, drip. Sorry about that. Don't look, don't look. The body's convenient, eh? So might need some refreshing a bit, I think. But it's not the prints that have to be sized first, it's the paper that needs sizing before we can send it through to the printers for their job. As somebody mentioned on the stream earlier here, there's different reasons or rationales or thoughts for why this is necessary. But the basic reason is the paper pre-sizing is not structurally strong enough for the job we have to do to it these days. In some of the older prints, when there weren't so many colors put on top of it, it was possible to print on non-sized paper. But these days, with many, many more color layers, lots more depth, the paper has to be physically strengthened. And what we're doing is, it's a glue layer. It's a layer of glue. Oops, see, I didn't do my finger thing and it stopped. Too busy chatting. So I sweat for every print that we send out, more than once. More than once. Give me a 6.8, you try it. Well, there's a few things about the price of the prints, why they are so reasonable at our shop. Yeah, part of it's economy of scale, of course. After the carving's done, the printing part of it is a scaled job, of course. You know, the carving cost gets amortized over many, many individual prints, which reduces the carving cost. The paper cost doesn't get amortized. The printer's cost, the shipping cost, the sizing cost. These are all jobs that don't scale at all. Whatever it costs for one sheet, for 2 sheets it's double that. For 3 sheets it's triple, you know. So the only thing that really scales well is the carving. And the only time that scales well is when we sell a lot of copies of any given single item. So for our most popular items, there's good economies of scale, but only for the most popular items, not for other stuff. It's sort of like the movie business. They live on their hits provide a profit that keeps the rest of it going. And it's very much the same. We're a publisher, just in the same sense as a book publisher. It costs a lot to make this pile of things that you sell, but the ones that do very well have a smaller cost per unit with a bigger profit, and that profit helps pay for the ones that don't sell well. So it's a bit of a mixed business for us. Recently we're doing okay because we have quite a number of prints that do sell well. Those Heroes prints, of course, and this one, The Great Way. Average working time per printer per sheet per color. Impossible to say. It can be 2 seconds, it can be 5 minutes. There's no way. I can't tell you. We don't even know. Even on any given print. Sometime in a couple of weeks, as the next video, the one that Cameron's making, not my next video, but the video that Cameron and Susan are preparing, they're going to show the color build up on the Times Burn Bright print. I think the latest count is 26 colors, 25 or 26. And some of those will take her 3, 4, 5 minutes to do, and some of those will take her seconds to do. So as far as an average goes, we just count up her how many weeks it took her to do how many copies, I guess. Pouring down my back as well, can't help it. The blocks don't get any special storage. We can't do it that way. I know. If you're thinking sort of museum type thing, the things we store for a long time should get sort of stored away from climate. Like museums have climate controlled rooms or with nitrogen cases or whatever. We can't even think about such a thing because the printer can't make the print in a nitrogen case. The blocks have to be used in a normal working environment. So we store the blocks in a normal working environment. They're pieces of wood. We don't seal them in plastic. We just wrap them in newspaper so they don't bang up to each other. And we store them here and there and here and there in the workshop. In summer, because it's really, really humid, they must be absorbing more moisture and expanding. In winter, as it gets dry, they must shrink down. So they live and breathe whatever, the same as we do. They just live and breathe throughout the course of the year. And when it comes time to use them, they're ready. They're acclimatized to whatever the situation that they're going to be used in. No, but they dance. When she starts printing on a woodblock, she hits it with water, it expands. They dance. They're always moving, always moving. So they're not some sort of critical thing that we have to keep in an immobile, immovable, unchangeable, never die situation. They're just pieces of wood. I heard a question, I think, the beep. I should get to it before I forget, because once 1 or 2 minutes go by, I'll never remember. There's a question in the question box. Question about the brush. What are the bristles of the brush made of, and do I make them? The bristles are goat hair. It's got the right balance between softness and firmness. We don't make them per se, but what we've been doing is, because we can't get big brushes, we've been making larger ones by cannibalizing 2 smaller ones. So in that sense, we make our own brushes, but no, we don't make the brush part ourselves. And it's a huge problem for us because there's nobody good doing it these days. Literally, nobody. Can I recognize a print that has been executed in summer? No, of course not. What would I see that's different? I can't, Yeah, but our goal for all of our printmaking is to make prints that look identical. You know, we've got our master copy, and the goal for us is to make everything look exactly the same. Any variation is failure, so you could probably, if there was some way to X-ray crystallography the paper to see if the sizing had crystallized at 30 degrees or 60 degrees or whatever it was. I don't know. Maybe there's some scientific internal way to look inside the paper and see when the sizing was done. I can't. Is Cameron the one that takes the pictures of the prints for the website? The website is a chaotic mess. There's stuff that was scanned by me 25 years ago on a cheap scanner. There's stuff that was photographed yesterday. There's just everything. The pictures on the website are a total, absolute, impossible agglomeration of all different kinds of things. Cameron put up a new couple of prints the other day, and he's struggling with the scanner. We got a new Epson printer scanner. And new scanners are terrible for printmaking because they're built in to try and take away background speckles and background defects. And we want to show the texture of the washi. So he put up some terrible scans the other day, and I said, you got to get those down really soon because they don't even look like wood-bought prints. So he and I are struggling. He's here on Monday, and that's one of our jobs on the top of our job list to do. Look into that scanner and find out if there's a way to set it properly. And if it isn't, we got to throw it away. And I think there's a setting for it, but he just doesn't understand what I want to see yet in a scan of a print. So is it important to keep the batch in a consistent order? While we are printing, it's absolutely critical to keep them in order. Totally, absolutely critical, non-negotiable, impossible to do it. For a number of reasons. When you start making them, say you're still working with 100 sheets of paper, whatever, they're in an order, a random order to start with. You do the first one, the first sheet isn't obviously very good. You're still trying to find the water pigment balance, blah, 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 blah. You do the second sheets better, third sheet. So you've done your first color, you're keeping them in order, number 1, number 2, number 3. We don't number them, but we know what the order is. Then if you're working with mukuita, real blocks that are not plywood blocks, as you're printing, the water from this process goes into the blocks start to expand. So sheet number 100 was printed on bigger blocks than sheet number 1. So you've got to keep them in the same order, because when you start doing the next color block, the same thing happens. And if you've mixed them up, if you've put sheet 100 at the beginning and number 1 at the back, or you've mixed them around in the middle, it's chaos. You cannot do it. So everything has to be in exactly the same order up to the point when the last impression is made. And what we do then is we just randomly put them up into the drawing boards, and we no longer care about the order. So sometimes people have asked me for prints, Dave, I want to get a print that's early in the printing run. And we can't do that. Not in sense of the printing run, the one batch of prints coming from the printer, because we don't care about that. Number 1, 2, 3, which don't look good, get thrown away. And then from number 4 to 100 or whatever it is, they all look the same. How early were you in joining the internet phenomenon? I'm not sure what you mean. You mean starting on the net? Look at my domain name, woodblock.com. I think it was registered in 1996. I think it's now 22 years since I opened the first website. I'm older than Google. I mean, my website is older than Google. And the downside of that is there are still pages on there that survived from that time. 1996 web. A few too many questions are rolling through here. The scanner he's struggling with at the moment is an Epson. They're all just as bad. Bad from our point of view. No, it's nothing to do with descreening, and it's nothing to do with dust removal. I'm sorry. I know we've been through this. Believe me, we've been through this. Dust removal is the black specks, the dust. What a normal scanner these days is set to think about is when somebody scans, say, a letter or whatever, they put it down on the screen, and the scanner is thinking and controlling. I want to see those black things that are letters. I don't want to see the white thing that is the paper. It's the basic structure that all the scanning is built on. Problem number 1. Problem number 2 is modern scanners have an extremely, and I mean extremely, shallow depth of field. The first scanners I used, you could put your hand on there and get a picture of it with the modeling of your hand. You can't do that anymore because it's just taking what's on the glass to a microscopic level above that. Anything outside of that is either out of focus or removed. And our washi paper has depth. We have embossing on the prints. It's not a totally flat object. And modern scanners don't grok that unless somewhere in the middle of all the settings you can turn off those automated things that are trying to do what I said, to strip everything else out and just leave it black. Believe me, we're on this. We've tried this again and again and again. Descreening is different. Descreening is when you've got a piece of, I don't know, offset printed work that is done with a screen with a dot pattern. The scanner can be told to ignore that or blend those together or to do it as it is. Descreening is something different. It's also partly I had an old Microtex scanner back in the old day, and it was interesting. It was low tech, but the way there was a light bar and the pickup bar, they moved together. And it was set just at the perfect angle so that the light would hit the paper, reflect up, and you could see the depth of the paper. Now the way the things are being lit, it's some LED flat strip that tries, again, they're trying to make the paper as flat as possible. So the lighting itself doesn't allow the depth to show of the thing that's on the bed of the scanner. It just can't be helped. The thing that the scanner designers think is important just happens to be diametrically opposed to the thing that we think is important. Dripping on the paper here. Well, yeah, if the scanning thing finally does come apart and we can't get good scans, then we always go back to photography. Set up a thing where we want the print lit properly, stand back and shoot it. And we did that some years ago with very, very good results, and that's maybe the way we'll have to go. In fact, there's a really interesting post on one of my blogs dating from about 15 years ago. In the basement of my studio, I have a 6-meter setup. I had a vacuum table for the print to pull it flat and 3 spotlights 6 meters away, shining on the print. It's the same thing we were talking about earlier in this stream, where you want the light to be far enough away that the top of the print and the bottom of the print have basically the same illumination. Yeah, depth-aware scanning sounds good. And if we can find some way to get that turned on or find a scanner that has that, then absolutely that will do it for us. Yeah, okay, if somebody could find it, that's an interesting blog post, you know. I'm not sure where it is. It might be on the Conversations blog or it might be on the old Round Table blog. I'm not sure. It was a really cool setup, and I got some spectacular, spectacular print shots with it. Oh, I found it. Top on Google. Look at this. Well, I knew what to search for. Hang on a sec. Here we are. Here's the blog post. 2009. Still getting an occasional drip here. Not sure if it's at the beginning of the stroke or after. I think it's when I'm warming up to show I stand here. I've got it tipped a bit too far down. Black hair. Oh, what is this? What is this? What is this? What's this? Have you always done things which... What kind of question is this? Have I always done things with such full commitment? DNA is DNA. I don't know. Well, what kind of question is that? I can't answer. I don't even know what I'm doing. DNA rules. Absolutely DNA rules. We are what we are. We're just born with a certain scramble of mix of genes. And anybody who's having a basically happy life must be the kind of person that's found something that fits his particular DNA match. Either chose it, searched for it, found it, stumbled into it, whatever. I don't know. It's just DNA. stuff like this, I don't think you can say, can you look at your mom or look at your dad and stuff like this. It's the same question. You know, you look at someone like take an extreme example here. I'm not comparing myself, but to take an extreme example, you look at someone like a Mozart, who is a real outlier in terms of the DNA. He got some real mix that just pushed him so far in the way of having a particular skill. Yeah, his dad was a musician, but he wasn't Mozart, and Mozart's kids were nothing. So it's not really, it's the particular mix. You know, I don't know. I'm not a geneticist, of course. I'm just trying to speak out of turn here, but we've got X% of something from maybe one parent or another parent, but the mix we get, the 50-50 from those two people, is so random. And we of course, we don't understand anything about how to analyze these things yet. Probably never will, but I don't know. So the older I get, the more I think about this, the more I just realize who I am is just a random shake of genetic dice onto the table one night in 1951. And that's that. That's who I am. So I can't take credit for anything I do in that sense. I can't feel too guilty about bad things I do. You know, I've got to be socially responsible in terms of the things I do, you know, how you behave in society. But the who I am part, I don't feel responsible for it at all. I'm not speaking clearly here. I'm responsible for how I behave and how I act in society, but I'm not in any way responsible for the stuff that came up to make me who I am. If you thought that was what was the word you used? I don't know, have you done things with such full commitment, as though it was something that I was choosing to do. I'm not choosing to do this. It's just the way the dice fell. It's a hugely interesting point and needs good discussion back and forth, you know, so it's just whatever. It's really, really interesting point about the most interesting things that human beings could ever think about, you know, who are we? But it's too complicated. We just don't know yet how to figure that sort of thing out. What's the background? It's now around 9 o'clock somewhere now, 9 o'clock indeed, and it's Sunday today, so there'll be no camera in here. The staff in the shop down there is going to be Kawai-san, Koizumi-kun, and Nakamura-san, the girl. And they might come up here to say hello, but they won't come up here to do anything. So I'm just on my own to finish this stream here. So. And I'm probably going to pretty much avoid the shop today down there. I've got the video preparation I really want to work on, so I'm probably going to stay upstairs and do that. Yeah, of course, X% of it is experience, the environment thing to experience, the people we bump into and meet, and the stuff that happens along the way. There's obviously a percentage. X%, the mother, X%, the father, but that gets blended into something that's a new thing. And then, of course, the experience and the upbringing. It's all percentages. In my own case, I kind of feel that the biggest percentage is just that random dice thing, you know. And then on top of that, given a sort of normal, average upbringing, a friendly, normal family that had good food and a standard environment. In other words, nothing specifically hugely negative, no wonderful benefits that only those people could have brought. A normal, classical, middle-class North American upbringing with no hostility and no stress and nothing like that. So that's sort of the base, that's the food you eat as you move along. We're almost here now for the first half of this. What do you got? 3 or 4 sheets left. And then, of course, those of you who know how this works, I'll be flipping this over and I'll be doing the back side of it. You're forgetting one thing there. In all this discussion, you're mentioning commitment. Somebody said pattern, passion. Somebody said courage. There's one, the most important one, I think you're missing. And it might sound like a joke when I mention it to you, but I think the older I get, the more and more I think about this. There's one thing that turned out to be really important. Stubbornness. Maybe there's a different word. Maybe that means passion. Maybe that means commitment. I don't think so. I think stubbornness just means... No, I'm going to try again. I don't know. Words, and sometimes, words have a capsule that don't quite match the actual thing that they're trying to describe. Perseverance. Okay, perseverance sounds positive, stubbornness sounds negative, right? We've got different color tones on these words that really overlap a lot. Having fun, that's in the DNA. That's the DNA part. Having fun at this is not conscious on my part at all. It just happens to be in that particular character set that I got dealt, the hand I got dealt at the beginning. And I see that in my dad. Well, I saw it. He's gone now, but I saw it. It's one of those things that is trackable. I can see that behavior in my dad, and I can see it in myself. The way I come into that shop and talk to the people, I saw my dad do that many, many times with different people. Big-headed, okay, all right. How far are we going to go with this? Remember those words, stubbornness, perseverance, pig-headed, they all depend on the surrounding environment. There's a time to give up and there's a time to keep going. And, there's a really sensible time to give up when it really isn't going to happen what you want to happen. And to push forward then is pig-headedness. When there really might be some chance that it might come off, that's perseverance. The words all have different colors, so. The staff here, they've got lots of experience at me being stubborn in what they feel is a non-productive way. When they feel something should be done X, and I'm saying, no, we're not going to do that, we're going to do it Y. They sometimes feel I'm obstreperous or getting in the way, or the word pig-headed would come up. They see that kind of a David more than you guys see that kind of a David. You just see the guy who self-presents, and I talk and I chat like this, Oh, my mother's here. What's she saying? Yes, you were stubborn. If someone said you can't, you just did. Am I vindicated or persecuted? Good morning, Mom. How you doing? Haven't seen you here for a while. You were over at what? Up at Whistler or something? You were getting out of the heat? I think my sister got some tickets and took my mother out of town for some trips yesterday and the day before, I think. So that's why she hasn't been here for a while. I think the two of them did some light summer traveling nearby Vancouver. My sister lives nearby my mother, and she arranged some trips, I think, the last week. It's all gone quiet, waiting for my mother to put more comments in. It's okay, I'm not afraid of anything she's going to say. Okay, there's the front surface. We're now going to flip the stack and do the same thing, a bit lighter liquid on the back side. Oh, here, I had a nice visit to Whistler. I see, look at this. We've got a hole in our plastic here. And it's resulted in a mark on the back of the paper, the first sheet. So we've lost one sheet here. I'm going to have to recover this thing before I do the next sizing. So this has come to the end of its life here. At the moment I'll keep using it because the first sheet, same as we talked about with printing just a minute ago, the first sheet on the front side and the first sheet on the back side are the same sheet. So we've lost this one, but no problem. hear the doorbell in a faint distance, the doorbell. So either the staff is starting to get the shop ready, or it could be the printers. There's 2 printers coming up here today. Ishikawa-san, watch your ears if she gets close to the mic. And Dei-chan is also coming today. Sunday, they're working on Sunday. It's their own choice. We don't force them to come in on Sundays. That sounds like Ishikawa-san, I think. It is. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello. Your paper's ready out there. My mom's asking, tried to put a picture on Mokohankan home. Did it work? I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. A picture from Whistler, you mean? If you did you send me something in an email? I'm not quite sure why you're asking, Mom. Tried to put a picture on Mokohankan home. If you got pictures, just send it to me in an email. You know, put your camera in. I don't see anything here. If you got a good picture, just send it to me by email if you can. Ah, maybe you mean the Facebook. If you put a picture on the Facebook page. That's possible, maybe. I don't have it open right now. I'll check as soon as I get off the stream today. A picture of me when I was small. Water for tea? Actually, I'm using that plug at the moment, so what you can do... ちょっと待って、ありますよ。いや、これ、今、伸ばした。ここから、どうぞ。
ついてるよ。つきますよ。する前から。
これ今、where you plugged in?
こっちじゃないですよ。
別のコンセント。
うん、多分。今ついたの。
ここに。じゃあ、青山さんが。
ああ、じゃないよ。ここにあるよ。ここ。
That's me. Another one.
ほら、下から出てる。
Okay, okay.
はい。はい、
Okay.
ありがとうございます。
Is there a sink nearby? Yes, of course. There's a sink right next to me. It's where I cooked the sizer. Ishikawa-san's just washing up, getting her tea water ready and doing different stuff ready for her printing today. She's working on one of the loop prints. It must be, I don't remember, October this year.
はいはい。
September. October. I
10
don't know.
月よ。違う、9月。
No, no, 9月。
9月。
Sorry. Do overseas visitors come to shop by having mail? Yes, yes, many people. Every day. Every day people ask us to mail stuff home. I can't say, no, it's not half. I don't know what the percentage is. 15, 20%, something like that. There's three or four things. We sometimes hold prints. People have come into the shop at the beginning of their trip and they realize they don't want to carry stuff around all the way to Kyoto and stuff like that. So we either mail it for them back home for the small postage charge, or we just leave it there. We hold it for them. And usually people that have come into Tokyo are traveling down and then they fly out of Tokyo. So they come back and pick it up before they go home. So there's lots of options. We're good at shipping that stuff. We had to ship a big one, now that Thunder God, Rain God, Wind God panel. We had to ship that last week. That went to a new home in Europe. No, yes. There's plenty more prints in the sea, yes. Yes, it left for here. Basically that same day, I think I showed it on the Twitch stream without really thinking too much about it. And a couple of days later, it was gone. They. We have another pair, but that's from my collection. That's why this was a double pair we had. So I kept one pair myself. They come up now and then, I can't remember the exact number. I think that was a limited edition back in the 1980s of 200, which might be true or might not be true. Because quite often those companies would make a bunch of them and then just make another bunch because nobody would be able to tell if it really was duplicate numbers. So I don't know how many were actually made. I don't trust the numbering system on those prints at all. But they were at least around 200 made, maybe a few more. And they come up. They come up on auctions now and then. On that particular pair, I had hoped to get a better price, but I wasn't, because as I said recently, there's lots of competition in the dealer auctions. Milk tea again today?
はいはい。
That's your trademark now, is it? Mr. Kandar, the tea fan, he's on his he's not so happy today.
あら。
Well, he was okay, but a few minutes ago, we have some prints in the shop, and he was thinking about maybe getting them. They're kind of expensive. He's been a good customer. He's looking at all kinds of different prints, but he waited a little bit. Somebody else took those prints. And he just found out now that they're gone. So he's
あーあー、そっか。
unhappy.
あそっか。
So
ああ、お仲間だね、みんな。へえ。
we all have limited resources. We got to, do what we can do. So. Oh, I thought she'd take the chance to give you some tea freshening up, but she didn't. Lesson learned, never wait. I don't think that's such a good idea because there's an endless supply of stuff, I myself have to do that. I've got my own little collection, and if you, what can I say? Simply put, if you buy too much stuff or put too much stuff, and I learned this as a kid with my postage stamps, it stops being a collection and becomes an accumulation. There's a big difference. A collection is stuff that where you know what they are, you know one by one, you know how they relate to each other, you could explain to somebody what they are. An accumulation is when you start just getting boxes full of stuff and maybe you don't even know what's really in there. And my print collection is edging now because I haven't so much time to spend with it. It's edging towards an accumulation. And that's not such a healthy thing to do. When you got unlimited resources, go for it, whatever. But I think there's a difference between the two. My own buying now because I'm buying for two reasons. For myself, when I can see something nice, and then also, of course, we're buying for inventory to sell in the shop. So we're buying much more than I would have ever done before. But I know myself that I can't keep these things, so that keeps me under control. What was the guy? I think we've mentioned this on the stream before. One of the early collectors, it was the Chicago collectors, I think, the guys who ended up giving their collections to the Art Institute of Chicago back in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. The guy's name was Fick, I think, F-I-C-K-E. He wrote a book about enjoying Japanese prints in his collection. And he's one of these rich guys that were buying all kinds of stuff. But he had a very, very interesting policy with regard to his collection. I think it wasn't just prints. He was doing prints and ceramics and all kinds of neat stuff. But he had a very interesting rule. He said only 100 items. If I allow myself to get more and more and more, it becomes an accumulation. So he limited himself. He had a little personal catalog with index cards and stuff like that, and only 100 items. And if he saw something that, oh, I've got to have that, before he could get it, he had to look at his collection, which one of those 100 items was he going to sell off and release to the market. That was his, not just his philosophy, that's the way he ran his collection. And that's, I think, not such a bad idea. You really have to think, what are these things mean to me? How valuable are they to me? Not money valuable, but how do they mean to me? And then the other side benefit of that was that, of course, stuff was always going out into the market. It's not somebody hoarding it all so nobody else could have it. So the market itself was helped by having these things come through. Having said that, I myself am not doing that. I haven't limited my own purchases to a certain number of items, but it's not a bad idea, I think. You're saying that's no fun, but it stops you from becoming this hoarder and an accumulator. It gives meaning to your collection. The mail-out library, actually, it's an idea that has been floated and tried here in Japan quite a number of times, I think. There may still be a company doing it. Not specifically woodblock prints, but with art in general. They've got a catalog, and there's certain stuff fits in standard frames, and you subscribe to them, and you pay a monthly or a quarterly fee or something, and you ship the stuff back and forth on whatever timetable, monthly or quarterly or something. It's easy for a business, of course, to do this. They get some artwork in their office and they're paying a lease fee, which is deductible. And they have fresh stuff in their office. So from a business point of view, I see it. But there's actually, I think, families here. It's not a big part of the business, but I think it does exist. Art rental. It makes a lot of sense, I think. At least in a country where there's good, solid transportation systems, reliable package delivery systems. The bonsai fans here. We hear it all the time, when people are here chatting. Why are you here? What are you doing? Bonsai, bonsai, bonsai. There seems to be quite an overlap. People that like bonsai are also, they're the kind of people that would also like our work as well. And a few years back, actually, I dabbled with the idea. Before I started the Arts of Japan series, one of the close second to that in my calculations on what should I do and how am I going to do this, I was thinking about doing a bonsai series of woodblock prints. And I still think that could be something interesting. And the reason I didn't do it, don't tease me, yes. The reason I didn't do it was because of the problem of creating the designs. And I'm not an artist. I looked through all kinds of catalogs of bonsai. There's a million photographs of bonsai which look beautiful. And I could have reworked those into woodblock prints. But when you do that, it's a bit soulless. It needs somebody to draw. We've got one in our catalog, right? In the Mokonkan catalog, is it number 92? I forget. There's a bonsai print that comes from the Mishima Shoson book, Favorite Flowers of Japan. It's in our catalog. I think it's called Autumn Bonsai. And it's beautifully done. And if I was able to create designs like that, I would have absolutely done a bonsai series. Ikebana doesn't float my boat, but bonsai does. Flowers and me, I don't see flowers, but yeah, the Yoshida prints with bonsai we don't have. One of them is, I think, Rinnoji Garden, and the other one is the big one called Waterfall, which they're not printing. I've asked them repeatedly, put that one back in production, and they're like, no, it's too expensive, too expensive. I've repeatedly told them, if you do it properly, cost is not going to be an object. Within reason, cost is not an object. They just don't get it. Satoshi. He just doesn't get it. The problem is he doesn't speak to people. He doesn't know about the market that's out there. All he sees is his production costs. Paper expensive, printer expensive, sells slowly. He just doesn't get it. He's sitting on a gold mine, all those wood blocks. Look at the time. I've been so slow with this today. Why? Oh, I know. I got a slow start. That's what happened. I know. So we're running late here today. I don't know what to say. I'm just going to keep at this. I'm about halfway through, so I've got at least 25, 30 minutes more to do on this. I'm sorry. And then it's got to sit and then hang. I won't be showing that part obviously today. So I'm sorry for the late running stream here. I myself have to keep going, so. Do we have a link to that little bonsai print in our own collection? What's it called? Autumn Bonsai? I forget what number it is in our catalog. 90 something, I can't remember. Somebody switched the language on my computer. Who's been playing with it? Number 68. Probably by now somebody's beat me to this. Footsteps on the stairs. So Achan, good morning. Hello. Come say hello for a moment. This is Achan, printer Achan, not downstairs Achan. So, what are you working on this week? What are you working on?
The coil.
The pear with the peony at the bottom and the koi at the top. Coming okay?
The coil.
Thank you. She won't stand and talk because no, she's way too shy. Just getting her to do that is an achievement. So. Yeah, it wasn't 92, was it? Sorry about that. Oh well, what do I know about this stuff? I'm losing touch with that end of it, because since Cameron's been doing all the, you know, order entry and all that kind of stuff, I lose touch with purchases and the catalog and things like that. I guess it can't be helped, but I do feel a bit left out of that sort of stuff now. You talk about the Solitude series, thank you. I know, it's funny, that really helped me. Having those prints helped me the other day last week. Suga-san here, she's doing the test printing on Jed's print, The Times Burn Bright. It's got a campfire, and it's got some people all gathered around the campfire. And the way Jed has done it in Photoshop, whatever, it's not really clear what's lit up and what isn't lit up. And in general, the stuff at the top is dark and the stuff at the bottom is dark and the stuff in the middle is light. But there's not a clear cone of light from the campfire. So we're trying to build it so that the campfire is the source of light in the print. And in talking to Suga-san about this when she's doing test printing last week, I mentioned, she had done the background, what she thought was dark enough. And I'm like, this is not dark enough. More, make it deeper, darker, darker. And she's, no, I can't put any more pigment on it, so it'll be too black. And I can't tell the whole long story here. There's a branch and a sky behind it. I said, make it so dark that you can barely see that branch. But I want people to struggle to try and find the branch inside there. And she said, what's the point? If you can't see it, what's the point? So I'm frustrated trying to explain this to her. So I pulled up an image from my own website of my print from the Solitude series that has a similar situation. It's a campfire, and there's a stone wall, a rock wall, and some trees and stuff. And we pulled it up and showed her the enlargement. I didn't have a printer, they're all in Ome. And I showed her, there's stuff in here, look, there's a tree there, right? And she's, I can't see that, wait a minute, look, there's a tree. And she looked, oh, there's a tree. And she started to get what I meant. But you can bury stuff inside the print. It's not ukiyo-e that everything has to be sunny and shiny and flat lit. You can overlay and overlay and overlay. So she tried her next sample print, had darker overlay. And she says, is this okay? I can't really see the branch. And I'm like, kiss me. It's wonderful. And that the same print right there that this person has linked to on the chat here is to show her you can do it. Just keep deepening. There's a place on my website there, that Solitude series. If you look for the print, the one with the campfire on the river, I don't even remember what season it was. And it's an old-fashioned website. There's a slideshow on there that shows the colors building up. Base color, 1 color, 2 colors, 3 colors. And it probably runs on Flash or something, so it's not going to work on most modern platforms. But it's still there. If you have an older computer, maybe you can see it. And that's what she and I looked at. The colors just building up until you couldn't see it anymore. Earthquake. This is it's Rei-chan getting water. She's banged the camera. Sorry. 今地震みたい。来る。ぶつかった。It's okay. Don't worry. They can survive a little earthquake from it. Yes, Zelan-san, talk to Cameron. He has one more ready for you, and we're now almost totally ready with getting the full series back in production. We've got all the parts. There's one ready for you from leftover stuff, and then the new editions, we've got the printing. The text is being printed by a printing company. The covers are being printed in Ome by our printing staff there. We found a young girl here who can do the binding. So the series is actually, over the next couple of weeks, is coming back up and running. Cameron's the guy who's handling all of it. It's out of my hands. Cameron is doing all the coordination on it. But the Solitude series is coming back to life. And he does have one more for you. No good emailing him today. It's Sunday here in Japan. He won't be here today, but whatever. He'll be back at work tomorrow. And tomorrow's payday, so he's going to be drowned in order processing from the weekend and in payday stuff. So he might not get a reply back to you straight away. But anyway, if you can start rolling. Why am I so slow today? I usually do a batch of paper for the Great Wave, all inside a single stream, start to finish. Jed's image only black and white. I know he and I, it's gone back and forth over the years with this. You know, in the beginning, he just prepared the whole thing finished. And sometimes we were able to make it and sometimes we were not, because he was using opaque colors in Photoshop. Recently, in the preparation for next year's series that we're doing now, Jed is using, at our demand, he's using only transparent layers in Photoshop, or what you call normal layers, with all the pigments set at some level of opacity. Nothing is set to 100. I'm wondering if I miscounted. It's supposed to be 60 sheets. I think I counted correctly, though, but maybe I miscounted. Doesn't matter, we'll just use it next time. It's quite possible I miscounted and we've got 80 instead of 60. I don't know. There's enough size in the bucket to cover. We're good to go. I can't easily count it now. I'll find out when I start hanging it up how many clips I need. Yeah, we have lots of clips. It's okay. We have enough clips to do double what I normally do here. Back when Aoyama-san and I were using the machine that we made last year, the sheets had to be hung up one by one instead of in pairs. So we have enough clips to handle this. It's okay. Looking good, you know, we've got a nice stack here today. It's all steady, it's all flat, it hasn't curled up too much at the edges. I can't detect any creases at the tail end. Looks to be good saturation. I think we've done it properly today. We didn't buy hair clips. What we buy is underwear clips. I got some here. Now you've seen later on next to me, so I've got pieces of wood with clips on them. And these are underwear clips. You know, they're clothes pegs, modern plastic clothes pegs. And normal clothes pegs have a serrated finish inside, so they grip the clothing. These are made for ladies' underwear, so they don't tear delicate fabric. Oops. Strong springs too. So anyway, we make our clothespins with underwear clothes pegs from the Hyakuen shop, 100 yen shop. It's the dollar shop. Package like this for 100 yen, $1. Made in Vietnam. Not my underwear, girls' underwear, which we don't have any here. So these clips. There's nobody stealing my clips. My own underwear. Okay, I gotta show you. When we're finishing the stream today, remind me when we're signing off, I gotta show you. Aoyama-san has built something here. There was a clothesline in the shop here. There still is a clothesline in the shop. And I have my shirts and underwear. I hang them up in rotation. And it's right in the way where it goes up on top to the stairs. And he's done, after we finished the construction downstairs, he had to rebuild the tools storage up here. And the clothesline was in the way. So finally, after we'd been in the building 4 years, he took a few minutes one day. We're not going to talk about underwear, relax. He took a few minutes one day and he built a, what's the word? It's an adjustable clothesline. Just give me a minute. We'll finish up the stream. I'll turn the camera. He's crazy. He's just as crazy as I am, actually. So. There, whatever. The thing is, he built the new clothesline. It's an adjustable clothesline. He thought it through, and he didn't quite think it through all the way. And when he was finished, he called me up to show me. He said, "Okay, here, Dave, hang up your shirts." So I hang up my shirts in the appropriate spot he's done for me. And we do the clothesline, and it's adjusted so that as you adjust the clothesline, reeling, the freshly laundered shirt smacks right into the chimney for the gas heater and picks up black all over the back of it. So this was Mark 1. He brought me up here to show me this, and I'm like, yeah, that kind of worked well. And he actually hadn't tried it. He had built it without trying it. So, so what we've got now is Mark 2. And the freshly washed shirts no longer strike the chimney. He's so similar to me, He'll just get an idea and grab it and build it without perhaps quite thinking it all the way through. He's got lots of confidence in his own abilities. The idea that if something goes wrong partway through, whatever, we'll figure out how to fix it as we go. I mean, this is like human beings on our planet. This is the approach we have to life and civilization, right? We don't know where we're going. We're making it up as we go along. We have lots of confidence in our ability to take care of problems as they arrive. That may or not be a good idea for civilization. Here at the workshop here, so far, so good. We got a few sheets left here. Was it 5 or 6? We won't be showing the hanging part today. Now, this stack has got to sit for at least a half an hour. I'm not going to sit here for a half an hour chatting with you while the stack waits. It's been long enough. So after I finish these last few sheets, we'll look at the laundry line and then we'll shut off. Today's Sunday. There'll be one more stream this week, I think. Tomorrow morning stream. I guess we'll be finishing the tracing on that hairline. So as you saw yesterday, those of you who were with me yesterday, we didn't get through it. I spent a bit too much time in a show and tell. This can't be 60 sheets. I must have miscounted, Now the leftover size today here, there's about a half a litre left in there, and we will not be keeping it. It'll be going down the drain. There's no way We cooked it up in this hot weather the other day. We used a bunch, and then I kept the 2 liters left in the fridge for 2 days, and now it's come out. It's been reheated again. It's been sitting here hot for 2 hours. There's no way I can trust it now. So the leftover size here now is not going to be recycled again. It's going to go down. And next time we do sizing, later this week or next week, we'll start from scratch with a new fresh batch. In winter we could maybe get away with it, but in summer it's too risky. We do not want, there could be mold growing in there now. I can't see it because it's too small still, but there is almost certainly mold starting to grow here. So we don't try and stretch this stuff. Okay, here we are. Here's the last sheet. Bingo. Brush goes in the hot water side. Heat goes off, and we are done. This has to get covered now. This will wait for 25-30 minutes so that the solution can spread out through the sheets, and I'll then hang them up 2 by 2 by 2. We won't be seeing that part of the process today. It's gone on long enough. It's covered up now so it doesn't, the top sheets don't dry out. No, we flipped it. This is the back side. Don't confuse me. Don't confuse me. Don't confuse me. Okay, let's do this. Let's give you a little glimpse of that line. These sands, OEM sands, little joke. I'll turn the camera around. Nobody gets seasick, please. We're going to turn around. There's the station where I've been working. I'll pop off the iMac camera. There you go. Okay, there. So you can see now the rest of the workstation. That's where the size was. There's the sink where Day-chan, and over in the distance there, that's where I do the actual cooking at the size. This is the back end of our building, the side that's farthest away from the street. People don't normally see this. There's the stairway that goes up to the outside to the roof. You sometimes see the paper stack. This was right behind me. Above it is we still got a bunch here, the mulberry fiber waiting to be shipped to the paper maker, and the stairs going up and outside. And there's the old clothesline, which was right at the bottom of the stairs with my shirts hanging all in front of everybody. So what Aoyama-san has done, he's built a new line. I'm not sure if I have enough camera zoom to show this to you. Let's see. It's of course too high. So what he's got a hook here. Pull it off the hook. It's not on a pulley, it's just on the ring. I hang up my shirts, collect my laundry, away we go. And the first time he did it, the first shirt banged right into the chimney on the gas heater, which was fun. And then back up they go. Big deal. Anyway, it was fun. Okay, there we are. I'm signing off for today. I'll be here tomorrow morning. Almost certainly I'll be downstairs. I'll be tracing, probably the last day of tracing on the last color block for the octopus print. Then sometime shortly after, I'll be printing out the Hanshita for the last 3 or 4 color blocks for the octopus print, getting them pasted down. And there should be a bunch of carving in over the next few weeks. A bunch of carving on the octopus design happening. I can't see the chat anymore from where I am, so I don't see what's going on. But anyway, I am out of here. This thing has run way longer than it should be. See you tomorrow downstairs for some tracing. Thank you very much for hanging around today.